Hello everyone and welcome to my Y&R Insider 24 update channel. Audra begs Nate for another chance. What happened on The Young and the Restless? Kane, Billy Flynn, reconnected with surrogate mother Jill, Jess Walton, on The Young and the Restless. Image, CBS. In Chancellor Park, Audra continued to pour her heart out to Nate. "I miss you so damn much," Audra told Nate. She impressed upon him how much she'd changed, how much he'd changed her. Audra asked a clearly affected Nate if he'd give her another chance. Audra told Nate that Sally urged her to apologize. When Audra saw Amy with Nate, she couldn't help but go over. Audra begged to tell Nate if she was reaching him. She started to walk away, but Nate stopped her by saying now was as good a time as any was, to hash it out. Nate stated that they were still at odds regarding her actions with Kyle and Victor. Nate couldn't believe that the woman who held Amy's hands through hard times could be so cruel and spiteful. The more Audra tried to explain herself, the more Nate told her she was making excuses. Audra said she wasn't the same woman she was a month ago. Nate wondered what had changed. He called her actions dark and cynical. "I gave myself hope," Audra said as she approached Nate about a reconciliation. Nate stated that they might have left something behind. Audra said it still could. Nate wondered if he saw what he wanted to see, and that the relationship she's talking about with him quite possibly never existed. Audra maintained that she wasn't doing a seduction of Kyle, instead, it was a con. She admitted that the whole thing was stupid and that if she could undo it all, she would. Said that it was hard for her to beg, but she was determined to make this up to Nate. He wondered if she simply resented losing. Audra asked if there was any part of him that wanted to give them a second chance, then he would not regret it. Audra told Nate that now, he knew the worst parts of her. Nate said that he didn't see a way back. She suggested that instead they move forward. He was begged to take his time by Audra. Nate stated that what he knew could not be forgotten. He accused her of always finding a reason to take a shortcut. She stated that wasn't true. Nate said that he'd always think she'd try anyway. Nate said he had to change. He couldn't go back. Audra broke down in tears as Nate left. Nate returned to society and rejoined Amy. She clarified that Lily needed to return to work. Nate said that Lily had texted him but he hadn't read it yet. He expressed his regret for keeping her waiting. Nate informed Amy that Audra apologized for everything. She asked him how he'd feel about her right now. She was said by Nate to be fearless, smart, and beautiful. He said it was exciting when they were together. Nate said that he saw a new side to Audra when Amy came to town. Amy said they became a family. Nate said he wasn't one to judge. He could never believe that she would have changed. Amy wondered if Nate had to decide right then and there if Audra was out of the picture. She suggested that Nate wanted to forgive Audra. Nate said he wouldn't interfere in their friendship. Amy said that she'd never get to see Damien smile again. She'd be grieving for the rest of her life, but maybe Nate's smile could help. Amy said Audra made Nate laugh. Amy suggested that maybe Audra had really changed. Amy was called a good person by Nate. She said love can change a person for the better. "Isn't it worth a try?" she suggested. Meanwhile, a tearful Audra called Sally from Chancellor Park. She said she did what Sally wanted. Audra said that there was a moment or two where Nate was open to reuniting. She said Nate resisted her. "I lost him, Sally. It's really over," a tearful Audra said. On Kane's train, Billy accused Jill of coming to see Kane first, her no. Jill shrugged that she and Kane had much to discuss. Billy was highly defensive. He teased that there was more to Kane than Jill knew. "Oh, yeah," she said. "So I've been hearing." Kane informed Jill that it was time for him to return home, so he returned to Genoa City. Billy stepped in with a more detailed explanation, pointing out that Kane had AI software that could decimate companies, which would leave no trace of criminal activity. Jill wanted to know who this software would attack. Billy said Newman, Jabot, and maybe Winters, but as it would affect Lily, whom Kane cares about, maybe not. He added that there was a target on Chancellor Industries. Jill asked Kane if any of this was true. "It's a family and friends plan. Everyone's involved," Billy said. Kane said he didn't know what to say as nothing had happened. Billy said Kane asked him to push the button so he could keep his hands clean. "Talk to me, Kane," Jill said. Kane shrugged that Billy was doing such a great job of explaining things. Billy said Kane has a smug look as if he had been studying Victor. Billy said Kane had offered him so many deals that he couldn't keep track of them. Jill said she needed time to process things. Billy told Jill that she had invited him to run Chancellor Industries, but she hadn't even bothered to tell him that she had sold the company to Victor. Kane told Jill that he was glad that she came home. Jill had hoped that the two men would learn to tolerate each other. She wanted Kane to be her ally with Billy. Jill begged Billy to let her make it up to him. "Welcome home, Jill," Billy snarked as he grabbed his jacket and left. Billy seemed lost, according to Jill. Kane gives Jill some water to drink. He told her that Billy loves her. Jill said she loved him, too. However, she stated that they both desire these substantial prizes and commit significant errors. Jill wondered if that was because they were too much alike. Kane told Jill not to blame herself. Jill said she could. But what mattered is that she needed her son. Jill went on to say that she was afraid of losing Kane as well. Kane insisted that the accusations against him were just that. Jill didn't think Kane would sell his soul just to get more. Jill said if he was thinking of hurting people she cared about, then he needed to tell her. Kane and Jill embraced. Jill noted that Kane didn't come to Chance's funeral. He said that he didn't want to be a distraction. Kane also said he felt guilty. He acknowledged that he was a coward. Chance's death, according to Jill, was not Kane's fault. Jill urged Kane to stop fussing and start talking about him being ready to come back to his family and friends. Jill figured out that Kane was lonely. She feared he'd ruin getting his family back. Jill urged Kane not to give up. Jill told Kane that he was a good man. Kane said maybe Jill was wrong. Jill shrugged and said, "Oh, yeah, like you could con me." Kane said he had a loop in his head. "Why this move? Why that one?" He said the cost of all of it for everyone that he loved was great. Kane said he should have stayed at his chateau or gone somewhere else. He wondered if he should have let everyone get on with their lives. Kane added that other times he has a rage and that's all he could see. Jill said everyone has had moments like that. Kane said it's not just moments. He doesn't know who he is. Am I Kane Ashby or the Mistress Dumas, or am I my father's son? Or am I the worst parts of all three? And all I want is to just burn it all down, Kane shared. Jill hugged her surrogate son, calling him baby. Victor arrived at the Abbott residence in the meantime. Jack gave the businessman a drink, but he declined. Victor asked Jack to talk to him before he met with Jill. Victor stated that he hadn't said he would work with Jack. The Abbott heir wondered why he should talk to Victor before meeting with Jill. Jack said that Jill would fight like hell to make sure Kane doesn't go beyond the point of no return. Victor said he didn't give a damn about Billy. Jack said Kane could act at any moment while he and Victor talked in circles. Victor announced that he wouldn't discuss his plans with anyone unless their name was Newman. Kane seemed to have the AI software, Victor wondered. Jack stated that Jill would be able to give Kane the death glare she needs to approach Kane. Jack re-entered the room with a drink in his hand. Victor said Billy Boy may sell everyone out. Jack said Billy would not cross that line. Jack, according to Victor, denied that. His face showed it to him. Jack agreed with Victor that Billy was a player. Victor said he had contingency plans. Just then, Billy entered. He wanted to know what was going on. Billy said seeing Jack and Victor hanging out like college buddies was end-of-days stuff. Victor said he and Jack were teaming up to stop Kane. Billy pointed out that Jack trusted Victor but not him. Billy agreed that Kane needed to be brought to his knees and that the two men should count him in. Victor laughed at Billy when Billy asked how they were going to take down Kane. The mogul wasn't about to share his strategy with Billy Boy Abbott. Victor suggested Billy would run back to Kane with the plan. He asked Jack that they have a meeting without Billy. Billy shared that Jill went straight to Kane. He added that he told Jill about Kane's AI software plan. Change of plans, Victor said. We divide and conquer. Three characters who need a good storyline on The Young and the Restless. 4 decades, The Young and the Restless has been the beating heart of daytime television, celebrated for its multi-layered storytelling, unforgettable characters, and the ability to balance love, loss, redemption, and scandal with poetic symmetry. However, as the Genoa city canvas continues to evolve, certain characters have fallen into a narrative void, stuck in repetitive emotional cycles or left without meaningful story arcs that showcase their potential. 3 such characters, Lily Winters, Devon Winters, and Nate Hastings, stand out as figures brimming with untapped possibilities. Each of these individuals carries a rich history, deep familial connections, and emotional depth, yet they've been overshadowed by corporate wars, romantic entanglements, and revenge-driven subplots that dominate current storylines. The question then becomes, how can the Young and the Restless reinvigorate these characters in ways that honor their legacy while propelling them into the show's future? Lily Winters, a woman waiting to bloom again. When Lily Winters first appeared on The Young and the Restless, she embodied innocence, hope, and resilience. Over the years, she's faced life's cruelest tests, cancer, betrayal, and loss, yet she's emerged time and again as one of Genoa City's most gracious survivors. Portrayed with warmth and vulnerability by Crystal Khalil, Lily is a character whose presence commands both empathy and respect. But recently, her narrative has stalled. Her current scenes often show her caught between frustration and nostalgia, particularly when dealing with Kane Ashby, now portrayed by Billy Flynn. Their love story once captivated audiences, a tale of forbidden attraction, redemption, and enduring affection that transcended countless betrayals. However, the most recent iterations of their dynamic feel tired, weighed down by years of emotional repetition. Kane still loves Lily. That's evident every time he pleads for forgiveness, his words dripping with remorse for hiding his secret identity as Aristotle Dumas for 6 long years. Yet Lily, despite her own lingering affection, has made it clear that she can't simply reopen old wounds. Their time, as she's said more than once, has come and gone. And she's right, but not just in terms of romance. What Lily truly needs isn't another round of romantic chaos, she needs a storyline that celebrates her strength, independence, and intelligence. The Lily Winters of today should not be defined by her relationships but by her resilience and her rediscovery of self. Imagine a storyline where Lily steps out of the family orbit, out of the constant entanglements with Devon, Kane, and the business world, and reconnects with someone like Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland. Tracy, the godmother to Lily's twins, Charlie and Matty, and the grieving mother of Lily's late friend Colleen, could serve as both a mentor and emotional anchor. Their shared history, bound by love and loss, could form the basis of an unexpected but deeply human storyline. Perhaps Lily, searching for meaning after her separation from Kane and exhaustion from corporate drama, decides to collaborate with Tracy on a charitable project, a literary foundation in Colleen's name, designed to empower young women through creative expression. This would allow both characters to flourish emotionally while grounding the show in themes of hope, legacy, and intergenerational connection. Through such a story, we could rediscover the Lily audiences first fell in love with, the compassionate, idealistic woman who found beauty in humanity even amidst chaos. The writers could also look into her unresolved grief over her mother Drusilla's death, giving Lily a chance to deal with that loss as an adult rather than as a traumatized young woman. It's also time for Lily to rediscover love, but on her terms. Her softer side might be rekindled by a new romance that doesn't use up old hurts. She might meet an artist, a philanthropist, or even a father with a young daughter who has lost his wife and is raising her. Someone who doesn't know her as Neil's daughter or Kane's ex-wife, but simply as Lily. Such a reinvention would not only deepen her character but would also remind the audience why Lily Winters remains one of Genoa City's most enduring hearts. Devon Winters, a legacy in need of reconnect ion. Devon Hamilton Winters, Brighton James, is one of the Young and the Restless' most complex characters, a man who has experienced immense privilege and profound pain. Orphaned as a child, then adopted by Neil and Drew, he grew up under the shadow of love, loss, and legacy. He has been a music mogul, philanthropist, romantic hero, and grieving father over the years. Yet, despite this emotional richness, his recent storylines have been disappointingly narrow in scope. Like Lily, Devon's scenes too often revolve around business dealings or moral lectures. His chemistry with Abby Newman, Melissa Ordway, has offered flashes of warmth, but their marriage lacks the fiery spark that once defined his relationships with Hilary Curtis, Michelle Morgan, and Amanda Sinclair, also Morgan. It feels as if Devon has become more of a sounding board than a fully realized participant in Genoa City's drama. The irony is that Devon's world is full of potential crossovers that remain largely unexplored. He's connected not only to the Winters family but also to the Newmans through Abby. Yet, the writers rarely explore his dynamic with Abby's powerful family, Nick, Victoria, and Adam. These are people who have a lot of power and frequently get caught in moral grey areas. Devon, who has spent much of his life striving for integrity, could serve as a refreshing counterbalance or even a surprising ally. Imagine a scenario where Kane's return to power poses a threat not only to Winters Incorporated but also to Newman Enterprises. Devon could find himself in the unlikely position of partnering with the Newmans to protect their mutual interests. This alliance could generate fascinating tension, especially if Victor Newman, Eric Braeden, initially underestimates Devon's strategic intelligence. A partnership with Victoria, Amelia Heinley, could be particularly compelling. Both characters are powerful executives driven by loyalty to family and haunted by the ghosts of their pasts. A professional alliance that slowly morphs into mutual respect and perhaps forbidden attraction could ignite a storyline rich with emotional and ethical complexity. It would also allow Devon to break free from the repetitive cycle of family business debates that dominate his current scenes. But beyond corporate and romantic intrigue, Devon deserves personal growth. His journey could explore fatherhood more deeply, as he continues to co-parent with Abby. Perhaps a health scare involving Dominic could reignite old tensions, forcing Devon and Abby to confront their unresolved fears and expectations about family life. Or perhaps Hilary's memory could resurface, her journal or an old recording re-emerging to challenge Devon's current sense of contentment and remind him of the fire he once carried. Devon's arc should ultimately be about rediscovery of passion, purpose, and personal truth. He's a man who's achieved almost everything materially but still struggles to find emotional fulfillment. A storyline that explores this inner conflict, set against the backdrop of business rivalries and family alliances, could restore him to the narrative prominence he deserves. Nate Hastings, the healer who must heal himself. Among Genoa City's residents, Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, is one of the most underutilized treasures. A descendant of the Barber Winters dynasty, Nate has long stood at the crossroads between medicine, morality, and ambition. Once a dedicated physician, Nate transitioned into the corporate world only to lose himself in the process. Despite their undeniable chemistry, Nate's most recent affair with Audra Charles, Zuleika Silva, revealed a more manipulative side and ultimately led him down a destructive path. He is once more lost, a man with no clear direction and no place to channel his gifts now that he has left her. Nate's storyline has always been about balance, the tension between doing good and doing well. He began as a doctor motivated by compassion, but corporate power seduced him, exposing his ambition and vulnerability. His recent rejection of Audra signifies a potential turning point, the chance to reclaim the moral center he once embodied. The writers have already laid the groundwork for emotional depth. Nate's discovery of a half-brother, Damien, Jermaine Rivers, and his reconnect Ion with his mother Amy, Valerie Pettiford, offered glimpses of redemption. Nate, on the other hand, was unable to investigate that brotherly bond because of the tragic murder of Damien in France. That loss could now become the emotional catalyst for his next chapter. What if Nate, haunted by Damien's death and disillusioned by corporate deceit, decides to return to medicine? Years ago, nerve damage in his hand forced him to abandon surgery. But in the world of soap operas, miracles and medical breakthroughs are always possible. A storyline centered around Nate's rehabilitation could serve as both a metaphor for physical recovery and spiritual renewal. Imagine Nate volunteering in a struggling community hospital, rediscovering the passion that first drove him into medicine. There, he could mentor a young intern or medical student, echoing the guidance Neil once gave him. This could even lead to a new romance, one grounded not in power plays, but in shared compassion. On the other hand, Nate might become embroiled in a medical mystery that has an impact on a major character. For instance, Victor or Jack might develop a mysterious illness, and Nate might be forced to deal with moral quandaries and family dynamics as he tries to find out the truth. Such a storyline would not only showcase his intelligence and moral struggle but also reconnect him to the show's core families. And yet, the most powerful story for Nate may not be about others, it may be about himself. His arc could explore the psychological toll of losing one's purpose. His time in the corporate world stripped him of identity. Now, he must rebuild it from the ground up. Through therapy, reflection, and forgiveness, Nate could become the emotional conscience of the show again, the healer who learns to heal himself. The common thread: redemption, reconnect Ion, and renewal. What binds Lily, Devon, and Nate isn't just family ties, it's a shared yearning for rediscovery. All three characters have drifted from the qualities that once defined them: Lily's optimism, Devon's compassion, and Nate's integrity. In many ways, their stagnation mirrors the broader challenge facing the young and the restless: how to balance legacy with innovation. The Winters family once represented the show's emotional heartbeat, a symbol of hope and perseverance amidst chaos. Reinvigorating their storylines could restore that balance, grounding the show's high-stakes business and romantic drama in genuine human emotion. A potential arc could even unite the three in a shared cause, say, the creation of a new Winters Foundation focused on mental health and community upliftment. Through this, Lily could oversee public relations, Devon could manage funding, and Nate could handle medical outreach. The foundation could become both a literal and symbolic representation of healing, bridging past traumas, reuniting family ties, and offering new storytelling avenues. This shared storyline could also intersect with other families. Victor could attempt to invest, sparking suspicion. Jill Abbott might try to merge the foundation into Chancellor Winters, reigniting corporate drama. And perhaps Audra, unable to resist the lure of chaos, could try to undermine the project for personal gain, creating ripple effects across Genoa City. Such interconnected storytelling would re-establish the Winters family as one of the show's central forces, rather than sidelined observers. Conclusion: the future belongs to the heart. The young and the restless thrives when it remembers that at its core, it's not about companies, mergers, or revenge, it's about people. It's about the messy, beautiful, and unpredictable ways human beings try to love, heal, and survive. Lily, Devon, and Nate each represent a different kind of resilience. Lily is a symbol of forgiveness. Devon stands for loyalty. Nate personifies redemption. Together, they form the moral spine of Genoa City, a counterpoint to the power-hungry machinations that so often dominate the show's landscape. Giving these three characters strong, emotionally resonant storylines wouldn't just reinvigorate them, it would restore balance to the young and the restless as a whole. Audiences are hungry for depth, for stories that remind them why they fell in love with this show in the first place.